Another guy I don't feel like getting utilized, and it's not because he's a bad fit. I don't think that his skill set certainly blends well with what Missoula's trying to do. It's just that the guard that we spoke about earlier in a bad boy slump right now, Malcolm Brogdon, is kind of sitting in front of him. Payton Pritchard. And over the weekend, I've seen a few rumors floating around that, hey, you know, some teams are keeping an eye on Pritchard. No one's really committing to being like, yep, we want him. Yep, we're going to trade for him. But I've seen some stuff around there saying like, you know, we're doing our due diligence. He's a sharpshooter. He can push the ball. Like, he can do some stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. Why would the Celtics want to give up Payton Pritchard? You get what I'm saying? Like, he's elite level guard insurance. If Brogdon gets hurt, which, you know, looking at his career is highly like, it's a possibility, right? It's a legitimate possibility that Brogdon misses a prolonged period of time at some point. Touch wood, it doesn't happen. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But if that did happen, you've got Pritchard right there, the guy that was giving you legitimate minutes in the NBA Finals a few months back, that can score from deep. Yeah, he's not really giving you great production at the moment. He's playing spot minutes on a nightly basis. He's not in rhythm. We saw him struggle.
Garbage time.
We saw it exactly the same last year when he was behind Dennis Schroeder. And once Schroeder got traded, we started to see a better version of Pritchard because he was getting more rhythm, more consistency. And that consistency then bled itself into his shooting and so forth. Yeah, I've seen the trade rumors flying around there. I don't know how much stock I put into that. I don't know if Boston would do it. My personal opinion, and I wrote about this for Celtics blog the other day, my personal opinion is you do right by the player. Like, you know, it's all well and good being like, these guys earn millions and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they do, but their careers are short. And look what sacrifices that to make to get to the league anyway. And Pritchard is like, he hasn't moaned. He hasn't been in the media being like, oh, I need minutes, blah. He's been a professional. So now you do right by him. If you don't think he's going to get minutes this season, if you don't think you're going to find a place for him next season, and you can trade him to somewhere that are going to give him an opportunity to be a legitimate and consistent role player, give him room to grow, play through his mistakes. We've already seen how that's benefited Aaron Nesmith in Indiana and Romeo Langford over in San Antonio. Both of those guys had career nights over the weekend. And that's not the first time we've said that this season. They're both just playing through mistakes, figuring this out, and all of a sudden you're looking at them like that. Now they're showing what we thought they could be, but they just never had that opportunity in Boston. It's the same for Pritchard. So yeah, if you can get, maybe you just create a really small TPE, maybe you get some draft capital that you can flip in a deal of your own, whatever it may be. Like, you do right by him. That's always my first thought. If it's not like obviously you have to do right by your team too. So but if you could do right by a player and still be in a really good position, I mean, JD Davison's having himself a season down in Maine. Maybe you just call him up and give him the minutes Pritchard was getting. It's only developmental minutes anyway. Pritchard's only playing in garbage time anyway. Why not just give them to Davison? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm not for trading Pritchard, but I'm for doing the right thing by the guy. And if that means trading him, then so be it.
Yeah, and I think you hit upon it really well when it comes to a lot of teams are going to sniff around players. Like, especially as we get closer to that trade deadline, they're going to be looking at how can I improve my team and start looking around the league and looking at guys who maybe we can give this guy a bigger role. And that is a question with Pritchard. Like, is he going to be able to get better, or is there another gear to his game that he can unlock with more minutes? Because right now he's not getting like slim to none in Boston, which wasn't the case last season. You obviously added Derek White later in the year at the trade deadline for last season. And then to start this offseason, you made a big splash by going out and trading for Malcolm Brogdon. So now you've got Smart, White, and Brogdon ahead of him on that depth chart. And granted, you're starting Derek White out there, but who knows? Like we talked about, like there might be lineup changes where Derek White's back to the bench. So all of a sudden, you've got Brogdon and White coming off the bench, fighting for minutes, and both of those guys are probably going to be out on the floor, either at the same time or thrown in a mix or what have you. Point being, there's no guarantee that things get easier for Pritchard in terms of trying to find minutes. And right now, he's not really being put in opportunities unless one of those guys is sick or injured, somehow out for a game, and he's getting thrown in there. And you're still expecting this guy to like be productive for you. He's a shooter. He needs rhythm, which means he needs minutes and he needs to be getting frequent minutes. And he's not getting that right now in Boston. So as much as I like Pritchard, like I think a big thing that you said, and I think this is crucial for a lot of younger guys in the league, and he's still very young. He's still in his rookie deal. Like he's got the rest of his career ahead of him. And if what's best for his career is to get moved out of Boston, then you got to do it. Like just for a lot of different reasons. Like, look, I think the reason why you traded for Brogdon is it allowed you to have some flexibility with your guard rotation. And you have one of the deepest guard backcourts, like point guards spots in the league, in my opinion. I don't think there's a lot of teams that have that luxury of being able to trot out Malcolm Brogdon off the bench. Like that's just not it's not something that a lot of teams are able to do. So with Pritchard, you just have to wonder, like, is there a better spot for him somewhere where he can get like these minutes that he needs?
There's probably
Because he's
about
not
10 teams.
he's not going to get better. Like, he's not going to improve if he's not getting playing time. So I just feel bad for the kid because, he came into the league. No one really had any expectations. Like, unless you followed like Oregon or you were really, really looking at the draft, no one expected him to go that high.
Most people I know that really follow the draft didn't expect him to get drafted.
Yeah. And
He
he's
weren't
played
on
great.
everyone I spoke to were like, dude, he wasn't even in my top 30, top 50, top 60. Like he just wasn't on my board. And now I'm like, and I do this a lot whenever I speak to I've been on a couple of podcasts with a few different people that I speak to, and I'm like, how you feel about Pritchard now? What your feelings
Yeah.
on Pritchard now? And they're like, oh yeah, okay, he could be a solid rotation guard on the team, blah blah blah. I'm like, of course
Yeah.
he could. And like,
He
but
is.
he is,
Was.
but he just doesn't have the opportunity at the moment. So I'm like, yeah, do right by the guy, do right by the player, because other players around the league will see that.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why I'm against ever trading Gallinari while he's injured, because other players around the league will see that. You saw all the negative upticks with trading Isaiah after everything that went down. It's the same thing now with trading Gallo while he's injured. You sign a guy who's like your marquee MLE guy this year. He'd always wanted to play in Boston, spoke of how happy he was, got hurt, and you trade him away. That's going to have negative connotations attached to it from the get-go. You trade Pritchard away because he's not getting minutes and he's good enough to get minutes elsewhere. That's got positive connotations. You want to keep positioning yourself to being free agent conversations, to keep retooling the edges of this roster over the next few years as you keep contending. These are the things sometimes you have to swallow it now to be able to be like, look, man, we do right by our guys. We never traded Gallo. Gallo's still here next to, if I'm Brad in the summer, Gallo's still here, ready to play. Pritchard wasn't getting minutes. We knew he could. So we traded him away. And like that to me holds a lot of value. I'm not sure whether that is genuine. And like I don't have any insight on whether those conversations go down like that. But if I was a player, I'd want to go somewhere I knew they'd do right by me.